Every hour you spend talking about other people's lives is an hour someone else is spending building theirs. That is the gossip tax. And unlike the taxes you pay to the government, this one is entirely self-imposed, and it compounds daily. Think about the last conversation you had that wasn't about a goal, a project, or a solution, but was instead about a person who wasn't in the room. It felt social. It felt like a break. But when you walked away, did you feel energized, or did you feel a strange, hollow sense of mental fatigue? As your mentor, I'm here to tell you that the cost of that conversation was much higher than you realize. You aren't just losing time, you are losing the very edge required to succeed in a competitive world. High performers and the top 1% have a completely different relationship with their social energy. They know that talking about others is a luxury they cannot afford. In the next 15 minutes, we are going to perform a forensic audit on your social habits. We are going to look at the neuroscience of why gossip is addictive, the mathematical tax it places on your future, and the exact spotlight rule that will turn your conversations from a drain into a powerhouse of growth. If you want to be a builder rather than a spectator, you need to listen very closely to the cost of your words. To stop the tax, you first have to understand why you're paying it in the first place. Gossip isn't a character flaw. It's an evolutionary habit that is being exploited by modern social dynamics. In ancient times, knowing who was doing what within a tribe was a survival mechanism. But today, that instinct has been hijacked. When you talk about someone else's failure or drama, your brain releases a small hit of dopamine and oxytocin. It creates a temporary bond with the person you're talking to and gives you a false sense of superiority. This is the gossip high. It feels good in the moment because it's a shortcut to connection without the hard work of actually building something together. But like any cheap high, there is a crash. Every minute spent evaluating someone else's life is a minute your brain isn't using to solve its own problems. You're effectively outsourcing your cognitive power to a narrative that doesn't benefit you. You think you are just talking. But your brain is actually running a background app of evaluative energy that stays open long after the conversation ends. This is attention residue, and it makes you less effective for hours afterward. Let's look at the numbers, because the math of the gossip tax is staggering. If you spend just 30 minutes a day engaged in gossip or reading about celebrity drama, that's 182 hours a year. In 182 hours, you could learn the basics of a new language, finish 20 high-level business books, or build the foundation of a side hustle. But it's worse than that. Because gossip is emotionally charged, it doesn't just take 30 minutes. It takes another 20 minutes for your brain to recover its focus window. This is how the gossip tax makes you broke. It isn't just about the time you lose. It's about the opportunity cost of the person you didn't become during those hours. While you are spending an hour talking about what someone else did, they are spending that same hour doing the next thing. They are winning while you are commenting. This compounds over 5, 10, and 20 years. The gap between the doers and the talkers isn't talent, it's the refusal to pay the tax. You are literally paying for other people's success with your own time. There are two ways to exist in a social environment, as a spectator or as a builder. Spectators spend their mental energy evaluating the performance of others. They are the critics, the commenters, and the gossipers. They have opinions on everything but ownership of nothing. This mindset is a trap because it's comfortable. It's easier to laugh at someone else's mistake than it is to risk making your own. Builders, however, have no interest in the gossip tax because they are too busy managing their own attention capital. They recognize that every social interaction is an investment. They look for growth conversations, discussions about ideas, systems, and future plans. When a conversation turns toward gossip, a builder feels an immediate sense of friction. They see the tax being collected in real time and they look for an exit. You have to decide which identity you want to claim. You cannot build a $1 million future with a 10-cent spectator habit. We've discussed how gossip drains your time, but we haven't talked about how it destroys your deep work capacity. To achieve anything of significance in 2026, you need a high level of cognitive focus. Gossip introduces social noise into your internal monologue. When you gossip about a coworker or a competitor, you're inviting them to live rent-free in your head. You're at your desk trying to focus on a high-value task, but part of your brain is still replaying that toxic conversation from lunch. You're wondering if they know you were talking about them, or you're still feeling the surge of anger or laughter from the drama. This fragments your attention. It creates mental residue that keeps you from reaching a flow state. High performers protect their focus like a bank vault. They don't let cheap social information clutter their mental desktop. They know that a clean mind is a fast mind. The gossip tax doesn't just drain your bank account, it drains the quality of your network. Like attracts like. If you are a person who pays the gossip tax, you will naturally attract other people who love to collect it. You will build a circle of commentators who reinforce your habits and keep you grounded in the mediocre. This is the toxic loop. In this circle, success is often met with suspicion, and failure is met with a secret celebration. This environment is a graveyard for ambition. If you want to reach the next level, you have to choose a social environment that is aligned with your goals. You need to be around people who make you feel socially awkward for gossiping. You need people who redirect the conversation to growth. Your network is your net worth, but only if that network isn't spending all its capital on talking about other people. So, how do you stop paying the gossip tax today? You implement the spotlight rule. This is a simple but brutal framework for your social interactions. The rule is this: the second a conversation shifts toward an outward commentary on someone else's life, you must immediately redirect that evaluative energy inward. If someone says, "Did you see what John did?" your response isn't to join the speculation. Your response is to ask yourself, and perhaps the group, what can we learn from that to improve our own process? Or, that's interesting, but what are we working on right now that's going to move us forward? You move the spotlight from the spectacle to the structure. This doesn't just stop the gossip tax. It turns the energy into an investment in your own growth. It forces the group to either level up or stop talking. To truly protect yourself from the gossip tax, you need to build a social moat. This is the practice of being intentionally unavailable for low-value social exchanges. It means being the person who doesn't have an opinion on the latest drama. It means being too busy building to engage in the gossip cycle. This will feel uncomfortable at first. People might think you are boring or arrogant. But remember, you're playing a different game. You're treating your time as capital with a high return on investment. A social moat isn't about being a hermit. It's about curating your inputs as carefully as you curate your outputs. When you stop paying the gossip tax, you'll find that you have a sudden surplus of mental energy that you didn't even know was missing. The final step in reclaiming your future is to adopt the 1% rule for conversations. There is a famous saying that small minds discuss people, average minds discuss events, and great minds discuss ideas. The gossip tax is the price paid by small minds. The 1% have decided to stop paying it. Every time you open your mouth, you're either reinforcing your spectator identity or your builder identity. Aim for conversations that discuss systems, strategies, and the future. Ask people about their big rocks for the week. Ask them what they are learning or what they are struggling to build. By raising the level of your discourse, you naturally filter out the people who only want to gossip. You create a high-performance bubble that accelerates your success rather than taxing it. You are one conversation away from a completely different social identity. Not one more realization, but one physical decision to redirect your words. The gossip tax is only voluntary if you are aware of it. Now that you see the cost, you can no longer pay it in ignorance. I want you to be honest with yourself right now. What was the last gossip conversation you had, and what did it actually cost you in terms of your own progress? Write down in the comments, what is the gossip tax you are going to stop paying today? Just name the situation or the habit. By naming the tax, you start the process of reclaiming your capital. I've built a specific roadmap for the discipline blueprint that shows you how to build unbreakable habits so you never have to rely on cheap dopamine again. That video is on your screen right now. If you're ready to move from the stands onto the field and stop being a spectator of other people's lives, watch that next. Subscribe to join the 1% who choose to build rather than comment. The tax office is closed. The work begins now.